What up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P, letting you know that the Motor City Cats are back at it. Came to give you stats, not ecstatic. But if you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Now, I know I was supposed to have a guest on today, and we were supposed to do our season in review part 2, but Easy is currently in the studio, and he's trying to get home before the snowstorm hits. So I totally respect that. I don't have snow here. I'm not driving in snow. I don't have to deal with the snow. So I respect that. So we're going to switch gears here. No LeVar Ball. I'm not trying to get canceled, but I don't think he said anything to get canceled. That's just me. But anyway, he said Easy is dark skinned. Now, what up though, Lion Syndicate? Yeah, so he's not gonna be here. So we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna talk about this Maxx Crosby thing. But there is some breaking news, I guess, if you want to call it that. Breaking news in our pursuit of happiness. No Will Smith, no Fresh Prince, no Diddy, all that. Anyway, it's breaking news in our pursuit of happiness. And I don't know if it is a pursuit of happiness. It very easily could turn into a pursuit of misery. Myles Garrett, who has been talking a lot, has been trying his best to get out of Cleveland amid rampant reports of internally and externally the Cleveland Browns deciding that they will not be trading Myles Garrett. They've told us this from the beginning, and they're saying it internally. That why would we be trading this guy? We are big dumb idiots if we trade him. And I like the fact that they're doing some self-reflection. Because, honestly, I don't want Myles Garrett on this team. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Honestly, I don't want Myles Garrett to be traded unless he's traded to this team, the Detroit Lions. I'm not trying to see Myles Garrett go to no Packers, no Bears, no Vikings. Definitely not no Eagles, because that's some bullcrap. If they get the Eagles, I must quit. Like football. It's not real anymore. It's wrestling. If the Eagles get Myles Garrett. So to be quite honest with you, I would love to see him stay in Cleveland if he is not coming to Detroit. Detroit is the only place he can go that will make me happy. Now, to facilitate a move, because we know this, that if Myles Garrett is traded, there will be a $36 million cap hit, dead cap hit, where Cleveland will be stuck with it. They won't be able to use the money. They won't be able to move the money. There's nothing that they can do. So Myles Garrett has offered to redo his contract to alleviate this dead cap hit. He's really trying his best to go ahead and get up out of Cleveland. And I don't know how warm he is on the Detroit Lions. A lot of speculation is coming out that he's very lukewarm. So, don't know. Don't want to see him go anywhere else. But if he's going to redo his deal, then come on to Detroit. Derek, you just dropped a video about this? Didn't Nicole Lynn's team issue a farewell to the Browns on Myles Garrett's behalf? Maybe, but again, the Browns don't want to trade him unless they're just posturing and trying to up the value, which is smart on their part. if he's going to give them the cap flexibility to get up out of Cleveland, then that's what's going to happen. Here's the thing. Myles Garrett can't really, I mean, he can go back to Cleveland, but it's going to be really awkward. It's going to be awkward up in there. Gotta go watch soon the video. All right. Lions better do something. They got to do something. I don't know, man. But let's go ahead and get into the topic of the day. The topic of the day is this Maxx Crosby situation. We want to go with the timeline of Maxx Crosby. And it's really not too much of a timeline. There's really only been one thing that he said about the Detroit Lions. And then everyone else has just been blowing things out of proportion. And this is what people do on social media. Part of this is that people can't read. And I'm going to be honest with you. People can't read. And everybody just wants to rush in. And they're not focused on what they're reading. Let's look at the Cam Newton situation. Cam Newton said, I went to a locker room that was full of losers that didn't know how to win. Because he was talking about how he feels bad for first overall picks, because when you're a first overall pick, you know you're going to go to a bad situation. So he says, I went to a locker room that was full of losers that didn't know how to win. People on Twitter killing him. Oh, you was in that locker room too. No, he wasn't, because he said he went there. Because he's talking about being a first overall pick. He wasn't part of that locker room. So when he got to the locker room, what he saw was this. It would be the same thing as when Jordan said people who were doing drugs, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer in the locker room, when he got there. Does that mean that Jordan was doing those things? No, this is what they were doing before he got there. Right? Jay Cruz, what up, though? Taylor made me. This says comprehension is a problem for a lot of folks. Yes, reading, my friends, is fundamental. So here we go with the reading situation. Maxx Crosby said in a podcast when he was asked if the Raiders were off the table, what team would you want to play for? So he entertained that by saying, well, if the Raiders were off the table, I would like to go to the Detroit Lions. Now, everybody lost their minds, right? What up, though, run the ball? Everybody lost their minds. They were like, Maxx Crosby. No, I wasn't ready. Oh, my God. All right, so this is what they were doing. They were like losing their minds. Maxx Crosby said he wants to come to the Detroit Lions. No. Oh, my God. Anyway, so this is what they were doing. And it was clearly, he said, if the Raiders were off the table. The host asked him the question, and then he repeated the question to let y'all know, to put emphasis on the fact that the Raiders must be off of the table. Since then, the Detroit Lions fans have been working with certainty that Maxx Crosby is available, and he's going to be available, because this didn't happen this year. No. This has been now the last 2 off seasons that we've been talking about Maxx Crosby to the Detroit Lions. Do I want Maxx Crosby in Detroit? Of course. Of course I do. Of course. But is he coming to Detroit? That's the thing that I don't know. Part of this timeline of overreaction is every time Maxx Crosby tweets about something in Detroit, everyone loses their mind, and the ones that follow him, because I don't follow him, the ones that follow him run to his Twitter and tell him, "Oh my God, come home." No, no. Okay. Anyway, if y'all don't know, that's Kevin Hart. Okay. So every time he tweets something about Detroit, it's a situation where he's coming to Detroit and he wants to be in Detroit. Oh my God, why would he be tweeting about it? Well, here's the thing. Maxx Crosby grew up in the greater Detroit area. Maxx Crosby grew up a Lions fan. There's a picture of him as a child wearing a Lions jersey because he's from Detroit or the greater Detroit area, right? Maxx Crosby went to Eastern Michigan University. He did that, right? So he's a Michigan kid. He's a Michigan kid. So when Maxx Crosby tweets about the Pistons, that's his team in basketball. If he tweets about the Tigers, that's his team in baseball because he's from Detroit or the greater Detroit area. If he tweets about the Detroit Red Wings, it's because it's his team. He is a person who is from Michigan. His team is a Michigan-based team. That is why he tweets about Detroit sports. It doesn't mean he's coming here or wants to come here simply because he's tweeting about the Red Wings, Tigers, or Pistons. It's wild that we just keep running over there to his Twitter telling him to come home. Yes, we all want him in Detroit. But just because he tweets, it's good to see the Pistons doing well again. Guess what? The Pistons haven't won a playoff game in 17 years. The Pistons, for the past 15 years, have been abysmal. They haven't been in positions for most of that time to entertain winning a playoff game, not a series, a game, because they weren't going to the playoffs. Last year, the Pistons had the worst record in team history and in the entire NBA. They won 14 games. So now that they're balling, now that they're 2 games out of the 5th seed or whatever have you, now that they've exceeded their expectations and we're not even at the All-Star break, now people are saying things like, hey, it's great to see the Pistons being good again. Because the Pistons, great team, back-to-back champions at one point. Most of us have seen them win 3 championships. Okay, now if you're under 30, you didn't. Okay? I saw it. So what are we doing when every time he tweets? Like, and why did I bring this up? Jay Cruisin says it's like a stretching a tip from a balloon sound. What? So why did I bring this up? I'm going to tell you why I brought this up. Because I follow an aggregated news site, which it compiles all of the Detroit Lions news or Pistons or whatever team that you want to follow. So obviously I follow the Detroit Lions, and in the Detroit Lions news today, I saw an article. Okay. And it's grasping at straws. It says former Detroit Lions coach very close to Raiders Maxx Crosby. Do y'all want to guess who this coach was? This former coach. I just want y'all in the chat. Just go ahead and guess about this former coach. Here's Johnny. You're right. It was tough sledding as a fan, and that's why when they're back to being good, like I actually intended to watch the game yesterday, but I forgot. Mr. Morale 313. No, it's not Osama. It's not Osama. I said this is grasping at straws now. So you got to go back. You got to go back. Don't think about no Osama. Osama's too current. Bill Callahan, no, that's too far. That's too far. You got to go. You got to, Here's Johnny. The question was, who do you guys think? This article says former Detroit Lions coach very close to Raiders, Maxx Crosby. Who do you guys think is this Raiders or this former Detroit Lions coach? Because it's grasping at straws. All right. If y'all don't have the answer, I'll give you the answer. From the article, no, fortunately, it wasn't Fatty Matty Patty. Newt Rockney, what are we doing? All right. This is an article from the doc, John Macaroon, Detroit Lions on SI. Hassett 42, Anthony Lynn, or Aubrey Present it's much too current. It's much too current. All right, I'll give you guys the answer. Former Detroit Lions head coach Rod Marinelli remains close to star Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Maxx Crosby. Marinelli served as the Raiders interim defensive coordinator in 2020 and the team's defensive line coach from 2020 to 2021. Crosby described the former Lions head man as the best thing that ever happened to me on the latest edition of Gruden Goes Long. When I first got with Coach Marinelli, you know how he is. He's going to test you as a man first and foremost, said Crosby. At first, I looked at it as a threat. I felt like, oh, he has something against me. But the first thing I told him was, I want to be the best, no matter what, coach. I want to be the best. Coach me that way. He's like, all right. So every day he was on my ass, pause, made it miserable for me. He didn't say the pause. I threw the pause in there. All right. Now I'm going to continue with the article because I want y'all to tell me how this is Detroit Lions news. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to read the quotes. I don't want to read all the other stuff. The fluff. It took about a year and a half until I went up to his office. This was the first day of OTAs going into my third year. I was in the best shape of my life. I completely dedicated myself to doing what I am today. Across the board, locked in. I went in the first day of OTAs, so excited to show Coach Marinelli I'm in the best shape of my life, said Crosby. I'm never looking back. I'm flying around. Everything he said. Nope. Too high. Not good enough. Get low. Pad level. Killing me. I was like, this I went right up to his office and told him, Coach, what is the problem? You're not saying anything to these other guys. I'm in the front of the line. I'm going 100 miles an hour. I'm trying to do everything above and beyond. Right? So then the next quote is he looked at me and said, remember what you told me when I first got here? You want to be the best? I coached Warren Sapp. I coached Julius Peppers. That's how I coached them. So if you want that, I can take the foot off the gas. I'll be nice to you and you can be just like everyone else. Or if you really want to be that, I'm gonna push you like that every day. That always stuck with me. So many coaches I can thank along the road, but I say this being 100% serious, you gave me confidence at a time I didn't have it initially. Now, here's the kicker. The 27-year-old is expected to remain with the Raiders, even though his name has been floated around in recent trade rumors that last the past two NFL seasons. the correlation is here. The last line. Marinelli was the Lions head coach from 2006 to 2008. Unfortunately, the team went 0-16 in his final season as the helm in Motown. What are we doing exactly? What? Why is this in Detroit Lions news? There was nothing in that article, even though I just read the quotes, but there was nothing in that article that said anything about how that had anything to do with the Detroit Lions. Rod Marinelli was his coach in Las Vegas. Well, I think they were still in Oakland at the time, right? So he was his coach in Oakland. And he said, oh, me and Coach Marinelli still talk damn near every day. Marinelli's not your link, bro. Marinelli went 0-16 and got fired after 2 seasons. He's not your link. He was around when Martha and them and William was still around. He ain't your link. So what are we doing? That article was planted there for all of the rabid Detroit Lions fans that want so badly to have Maxx Crosby that they'll click on anything. The Lions were quote unquote mentioned in the story, so they probably added a tag to the file. No, the reason that this was considered Detroit Lions news is because Doc wrote the article. But why did Doc write the article? I understand it's the off season. The news is slow. But all I remember about Marinelli was his baseball hat and he could hardly walk. LOL. I just don't, but I know we're starving. John Macaron. They call him Doc Macaron because he used to be a psychiatrist and he gave all that up to report on Detroit sports. I've had him on the show before. Well, he wasn't on this show. He was on the other show where people, talk bad about him behind his back. But I won't get into that. Anyway, so look, if we get Maxx Crosby, we get Maxx Crosby. But do yourselves a favor, Lions fans. Leave this man alone. Stop lurking on his tweets. Stop looking for, bro, he had a tweet out there that said, what did it say? Something to the extent that they should have treated you better when they had the opportunity to do so. The fakes will always reveal themselves. And Lions fans were lurking the tweet. They were replying. We just come home. Please come home. I got beans and bologna. Yeah. That's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. I was just like, what? He didn't even say, it didn't have to be about the Raiders. And how he was unhappy with the Raiders, he's been telling you the entire time. He is a Raider for life. His number one priority is to stay with the Raiders and make the Raiders a winner. Myles Garrett, on the other hand, said, peace, I'm out. I'm not trying to stay in Cleveland. I will do anything that they ask me to get out of there. Anything. Anything. Okay, pause. I'm not going to no Diddy parties, but anything else is on the table. Yes, Oh Hell No State is hiring Fatty Matty Patty. Two of the most hated entities in the state of Michigan are marrying each other. Congratulations. Um, yeah, we don't have to worry about them anymore. I'm just, when it comes across my feed, when it comes across my feed, uh it's annoying because it's what are let's just focus on people that are available. Myles Garrett's available. And then I'm going to have to get really deep into this draft. I don't have a show tomorrow, so I'll definitely go through a few prospects in my downtime and have some names for you. A lot of cold water being poured on the Myles Garrett situation. I'd love for him to come here. Don't know if he is. But my goodness. The Maxx Crosby stuff just looks desperate at this point. And it's annoying. I would love to have Maxx Crosby on the team, but he's not available. You can't trade for him if he's not available. Myles Garrett technically is not available. As per the Cleveland Browns, he is not available. But the difference between Myles Garrett and Maxx Crosby is Myles Garrett hit the media row at the Super Bowl and did every interview that he could about how he wanted to get out of Cleveland, about how he thought about this with his family, about how it's all about winning championships, playing in and competing in the big, competing in and winning the big game. It's not about the money. Like, he said all of these things. Okay? He talked about how, it would be cool if he played in Philadelphia, how he would love to play for the Washington Commanders, how he hadn't thought about playing in Detroit yet, which is a slap in the face. But whatever. Out of all of those general managers, they all have worse picks than the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions general manager and Brad Holmes and the Cleveland Browns general manager and Andrew Berry actually have a relationship. They just did a trade with Big Z. He's talked about acquiring Myles Garrett before and how much it would cost. And I'm pretty sure Andrew Berry told him, well, he's not available. And he probably said, well, look. If he was available, how much would it cost? And he was like 20 G's. And he was like, how about 40 G's? If you know, you know. Use the hashtag. Fat shit Patty getting jobs like Chip Kelly. I don't know why. Joseph Murdoch says Hendrickson would be more likely or trade up in the draft to get the player Holmes wants. DT or DE is the question. Don't trade up for a DT, bro. It's just the optics. I understand that Aleem McNeil is probably going to be back maybe week 7, week 8, somewhere between week 6 and 8, possibly. Okay, I'm not a medical doctor, but I do know that tearing your ACL in week 16 is not. It's not what you want to do when you talk about playing games next season. So I'm saying the DE and the DT, the defensive line class for this draft is really deep, which is why I have to dive into the class. I was going to say the players, but then I would have had to say pause. Because while I don't believe that there is a Myles Garrett in this draft, is there a Jarrett Verse? Is there a Jarrett Verse? Will the real Jarrett Verse of 2025 please stand up? because we missed out on Jared Verse last draft in Detroit, where we drafted Terrion Arnold. And I can't say instead of Jared Verse because the Rams did get him with their pick. We just didn't have probably not the ammunition to move up to 19 to take Jared Verse. I don't know. But we didn't get him. The Raiders have the 6th pick, so who's got something they want? Well, then that's the question. What do they want at number 6? Shedeur? Because if you look at the top 5, let me get my draft board out. Okay. Let me get my draft board out. Let me adjust my spectacles. All right, Tennessee Titans have the number 1 pick. I don't think they draft a quarterback. I mean, you could. It depends on what they want to do. The GM that is there now is not the GM that drafted Will Levis. I don't know. Like J-Rod may be here earlier, so I'm going to say your name. I'm just going to say it. I just want to make this point to you and to everybody. J-Rod is a fan of bringing Will Levis in to have him sit behind Jared Goff. The guy that drafted Will Levis got fired after 1 year on the job. Just let that sink in. You failed so miserably at acquiring a quarterback that they fired you after 1 year. Okay? Maybe it was 2 years, but the Will Levis year was his last year. So Rand Carthon was fired. They got a new GM in Tennessee now. So if Tennessee wants a quarterback, I think they take Cam Ward because Deion has been outspoken about not wanting his son anywhere except where he wants him. So that would be New York or Las Vegas. Okay? Las Vegas has no quarterback. Aidan O'Connell, cute story, went to Purdue and all that. Justice for Juicy and all that. Anyway, hashtag if you know, you know. Use the hashtag. But he's not. He's not an NFL quarterback. All right, Gardner Minshew is a backup. Is a career backup. So he's not gonna stay. They're not gonna stand pat at that situation. Cleveland Browns. They definitely need a quarterback. Okay, we back. All right. So I left off on the Cleveland Browns. Yes, so they definitely need a quarterback. The Cleveland Browns. The question is, are we drafting? And by we, I'm talking as the Cleveland Browns. Speaking of which, if you would like to register your interest to participate as one of the 32 NFL football teams when we do our huge 32-team mock draft where all of the listeners will, or 32 of the listeners will represent one of the 32 teams. If you'd like to register your interest, please let me know. Hit me up on the Discord and all that stuff. All right. So the Cleveland Browns need a quarterback for sure. Now we're looking at number 1 and number 2, possibly drafting Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, but they could just pass. The Cleveland Browns, if they're planning on trading Myles Garrett, could simply just draft Abdul Carter. The reason I say this is because Deshaun Watson is on your books for 2 more years. The third year, or I should say in this scenario, the second year, right? Because he's on your books for 3 more years. But I'm saying he's on your books for 2 more years after you trade Myles Garrett and you draft Abdul Carter in this draft instead of taking a quarterback. Okay, so his third year, I think this year be 73 million, something like that. Next year, I think his dead money will be 70 million, but the year after that, his dead money goes down to 27 million. So you can eat 27 million. So if you draft an Abdul Carter, you get your hopefully eventual replacement for Myles Garrett. He's not gonna be Myles Garrett, but he could be potentially somewhat 80% of Myles Garrett. And if so, that's fine for you as the Cleveland Browns. And then next year you get a quarterback who is on a rookie deal for longer. So you're just starting the clock with your quarterback a year later, and you're drafting a stud defensive end. The New York Giants, this is the team that Deion Sanders would like Shedeur to go to. So if the other 2 teams respect his wishes, Shedeur Sanders will most likely be a New York Giant. Okay? The New England Patriots, they don't need any quarterbacks. Jacksonville Jaguars claim they don't need a quarterback. I think they do, but they claim they don't. Now you got the Las Vegas Raiders. If the Las Vegas Raiders stay where they're at, I don't think they're getting a quarterback. So now you're looking at the Las Vegas Raiders as trying to trade up to number 2. Because if you trade up to number 2 and Cleveland just goes down and gets more picks, you're leapfrogging the New York Giants. I just don't think Shedeur falls past the Giants. That doesn't make sense to me. So if you're trying to get Shedeur, then it's going to be both of those teams pitted against each other to draft him as Deion would like. Jay Cruiser, I don't know, computer froze, I guess. She said, wait, if the Browns want to keep Garrett, they could talk it over with Deion about Shedeur being the foundation. Deion is not going to want his son to go to Cleveland. The foundation of what? Remember, the Cleveland Browns have had 20 starting quarterbacks over the last 20 years. I mean, it's something like that. It's something crazy. They last a year. They don't pan out. They don't start. They go on the bench for a season, and then they get traded somewhere else, or they just get outright cut and they go somewhere else. Just look at Johnny Football, you know? All right. So I believe that if the Raiders are really trying to get a quarterback, here's a twist. Are y'all Detroit fans? Y'all are not gonna like this twist at all. Brace yourselves, because I'm gonna tell you what probably should happen. Myles Garrett wants to be traded, wants to go to a winner. The Cleveland Browns don't want to trade him. Maxx Crosby doesn't want to be traded. But I think, even though the Raiders have said that he's not available, The Raiders might go up and get their quarterback and have to give up a Maxx Crosby and they can keep their draft picks. But Cleveland would have to make some moves to restructure some contracts and try to get under the cap first before they could take on Maxx Crosby's salary. But you pair Maxx Crosby with Myles Garrett in Cleveland. I don't know if Maxx Crosby has a no trade clause or anything like that, but I don't think the Raiders would actively be trying to trade Maxx Crosby. But I think that if they call the Browns and inquire about that pick, I'm pretty sure the Browns are going to talk back and the Raiders are going to be forced to listen. Now, if they listen and they go through it, that's one thing. But I believe the conversation will be had. So the Giants would be more likely to get Travis Hunter than Shedeur Sanders. To be quite honest with you, I'm not sold on Shedeur Sanders. I'm just not. I mean, I watched a few of his games in college. You know, it's not like it's not like, ooh, Shedeur Sanders. Now, here's a guy that I would love to see on the Lions. You know? It's just not it's just not the vibes I get. Let me see. I was supposed to check this before I came in, and I didn't, so forgive me. I wanted to be able to update the super chat goal because we got a few yesterday. We started off, we were 9 away from the goal of 20, just to get this live mock draft done. Now let me see how many supers we got. Oh, we just need 2 more. We are at 18. 2 more super chats will put us in a situation where we have to do our first ever live mock draft. So if we get it done by tomorrow, then I'll have to do it on Monday. So yes, we're 2 super chats away. All right, Mega Hustle 313 says Motor City Cats Lions had a better season on the road because opposing teams got fired up after hearing 97.1 talking arrogant about them on the radio at their home games. That was only, I think, did they talk arrogant about the Bills? I'm pretty sure they did about the Commanders. The Bucks, I think, was... there was a little bit of referee misfortunes there and also some self-inflicted wounds. Dolo Dynamite said, I'd still want to draft an edge or DT even if we get Garrett, not giving up 2025 first. I think it's very likely that you would have to give up the 2025 first. Especially if they're giving up Garrett, right? If they're giving up Garrett, they're resetting. They're taking a young stud that they don't have to pay for another 5 years. I'm asking you for your 2025 first round pick. This is a draft which is loaded on the defensive line, right? That's what I'm being told. So why not go and get your Myles Garrett replacement? I mean, you're not going to have the same star power as Myles Garrett. You're not going to have the same production as Myles Garrett, but you can get a guy that doesn't leave a huge gaping hole when Myles Garrett leaves. So why not go do that? So if I'm the Browns, you want Myles Garrett? Give us your first round pick from this year. .1 is an extreme hate channel. I don't listen to him much. If I catch any of their YouTube, I'm probably watching 30 seconds. I don't really do too much of it. Taylor Made Media says, look at the Giants' history at QB. Shedeur Sanders. Nope. I don't know. You know, Shedeur Sanders was running around wearing them sandals. He was wearing the Giants cleats. So he for some reason he thought he was going to New York. Dolo Dynamite, you all good, no problem. Jay Cruz, and you are surely welcome. What do you mean? You're surely welcome. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that you said 2026, 2027. I mean, I could be wrong, you know, but I don't. I look at a draft where I'm going to lose a player, and there's a lot of people that could come in and maybe become 75% of what the player that we just lost was. So I'm going to ask you for your pick, because I may just draft Abdul Carter, and then I may use your pick in a package deal to move up somewhere else in the first round and get somebody else that I want. I don't know that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are cornerstone pieces that you want to give the keys to your franchise to. I watched some Cam Ward, and he was good at Washington State. I didn't watch any of them at Miami. But I don't know. Are y'all taking Cam Ward and starting your franchise over? I mean, I'm sure he's better than Deshaun Watson. I'm probably better than Deshaun Watson, and I haven't played quarterback since I was 9. So, five minutes of grace. That's what I'm saying. So they're already gonna draft Abdul, so why not give me your first so I can do something else, right? And they may, Tennessee might just do it, you know. I just don't. Levis is bad. Levis is bad, but I just don't have a lot of confidence in this quarterback class. They should wait for Arch Manning. When is Arch Manning coming out? Isn't that another 2 years? You saw, he was here yesterday. You saw him, didn't you, Jay Cruz? Oh, he's coming out next year? So you're saying Tennessee should wait for Arch Manning? So if you've got both Cleveland and Tennessee waiting for Arch Manning, then Tennessee takes Abdul Carter. What does Cleveland do? Because Tennessee's number 1. Cleveland's number 2. Taylor Man says, I haven't seen any of these kids play, but whoever's got the first pick wants to put the franchise on the map. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Is it going to be Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders to put franchises on maps? Well, Cleveland should, and so should Tennessee. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you move on from Will Levis and you draft Shedeur Sanders, I mean, Shedeur is going to be better, yes. But is it just better that you want, or do you want someone that can turn your franchise around, right? If, let's say, Shedeur Sanders is really good, okay, does that make the Tennessee Titans like a Super Bowl contender right away? Yeah, we got Travis Hunter, we got Abdul Carter. It depends on what Tennessee is looking at, because ultimately Tennessee controls the draft board, right? If you get Travis Hunter, you're either wasting a year of Travis Hunter as having playmaking ability. You're leaving him back there to play corner. If you want him to be a receiver, you're definitely wasting a year, because that quarterback who's throwing him the ball is not going to be there next year. Big Wolf Status says Sanders is a bum. Tell us how you really feel. So it says here, it says their biggest needs. The Titans' biggest needs are quarterback, wide receiver, edge, OT, and safety. It says the Browns' biggest needs: edge, quarterback, OT, wide receiver, running back. If Tennessee's biggest needs are quarterback, wide receiver, then edge, you take Abdul Carter. Because you're taking a Band-Aid. I think you're taking a Band-Aid quarterback if you're taking Ward or Sanders. I think people are hoping that Ward is the next Lamar Jackson. That's what I think people are hoping. Cleveland should go Mason Graham then. That's possible. Think he's going to be a top 5 pick. So, I mean, the problem is, like, Shedeur wants to go to wherever he wants to go to. The top three teams are all listed as needing quarterback as the biggest need. 4 and 5 are the ones that have established quarterbacks. Then you go to 6. They need a quarterback. Then you go to 7, the New York Jets. They need a quarterback. Then you go to 8, Carolina. They don't need one. Then you go to 9. They need one. Because whatchamacallit, Derek Carr has pretty much said he's not returning, or he didn't say he's not returning to the Saints, but he said he's not taking a pay cut to stay with the Saints. So that's probably it. And then number 10 is Chicago, and we know they don't need a quarterback. At least they don't think they do. I hope they do. And they just don't know it yet. That's what I hope. Aaron McNair was their last great Cowboy quarterback, so put a Cowboy hat on and lead the squad. Well, somebody's got to, but it's not going to be Will Levis. Maybe somebody may trade back at 28 to get one of those bum QBs, and the Lions could get a couple of extras. Who knows? Possibly. Daniel Goodrich says Dallas should get Arch Manning. He's already in Texas, and the Cowboys are one of the most popular franchises in football. So throw in how legendary his name is it would just draw more people in to watch. Dallas has the number 12 overall pick this year, and we don't know what's going to happen next year. We assume that they'll suck because of Callahan, or what's his name? Not Callahan. Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, I don't know. Jerry Jones is trash. Indeed he is. Let me put a poll in the chat. TM's not here, but she loves when I put polls in the chat. All right. Okay, there's the poll. Mickey Loomis would want a Manning on the Saints. Well, that's next year, though. Dallas is not winning 5 games. Well, as long as you say the Chiefs aren't, if you don't say the Chiefs aren't going to make the playoffs in a year where they went to the Super Bowl, that's crazy. So anyway, like I said, let's pump the brakes on the Maxx Crosby stuff, man. Stop lurking on that man's Twitter. Let something come out first. I would think Maxx Crosby would be more likely to get moved in a draft day deal than he would be to just randomly get moved in the offseason. I know Brad has a contingency plan. I hope that he'll go after somebody like Khalil Mack. And it won't be a situation in where you tried to get him, but his agent didn't want to come here or he didn't want to come here. I mean, he played in Chicago, for God's sakes. You can't play in Detroit? You can't play in Detroit. And we're going to need someone who looks at this team, someone who's top tier. They look at this team like, yeah, that's where I fit in. And that where that you're looking at, it's over there on that side of the line. Right? Kellen Moore can wait. Did y'all see, like, there were Philly fans complaining that Kellen Moore wasn't going to be there for the parade. I was like, at least he left after y'all won something. We got coordinators leaving to be head coaches out of the freaking, post-game locker room. I'm pretty sure that's what I was saying yesterday. I think that Brad Holmes is going to go heavily into the defensive line this season, just like he did with the secondary last offseason. Picks for the Lions are Nick Gordon, Mike Green, Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan, Jihad Campbell. I'll look into those guys. Y'all don't be sending me people that run around and don't use their hands. Cause I can't deal with that. What, you think he hits in the draft or he hit like he's done? All right. In the draft of the defensive line, I mean, this. Like I said, all this stuff that I'm hearing, all this stuff that I'm seeing is that this defensive line draft is supposed to be so deep. So here's the thing. My only concern with the defensive line draft is supposed to be so deep. That's great. And Brad Holmes is a phenomenal talent evaluator. But when he gets talent, then we look at other people who we fell in love with. Yeah, he drafted Terrion Arnold, which is fine, wonderful. But he wasn't able to get Jared Verse, and I felt a certain type of way about that. Right? When the Rams drafted Jared Verse, I threw my hat, I got up. I was like, I'm done with the draft. I don't care what happens next. I'm finished. So, congratulations, Detroit. Hope you have a wonderful next few days. You know, I think I watched the second and third day. I mean, the second and third round, and that was it. You know, and I only watched it. I don't even know why I watched it. I guess I just wanted to see who we drafted. But the last round or two, whatever it was, the last fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Yeah, the last 4 rounds, didn't watch them. What are we looking at? 86% of the poll believes that Abdul Carter will not go number 1 overall. That's wild. Which defensive lineman did Alabama suit up last season? Alabama is not the Alabama of old. But did y'all hear that the Alabama state lawmakers are trying to make NIL earnings untaxable to get a recruitment advantage? Like, if you come to Alabama and you get NIL money, all of it is yours. Everybody else got to pay 15% or whatever, or so on and so forth, on taxes. Yeah, they were in reach. But you never know, like, unless they expose the numbers, you never know how close you were to getting them. This past draft did not go as everybody thought it would. Very offensive heavy. Right. With all these defensive linemen available, I think we'll be defense heavy this draft. Dallas Turner was good. Yep. Prez is getting rid of the Penei. Go hoard them all once. I mean, the Penei is pretty important, right? It helps you go from 8 897 to 893. Oh yeah, I hate Philly too. Knowing Brad, he probably tried to move up, and dumbass Dallas was the only ones who weren't willing to work with them. Um, I mean, Dallas did work with us later, so that allowed us to get Terry on because they took the trade. 1 cent, yeah, I got it. Let's see. Knowing how he separated in the past. Okay. DeJean was still there, but DeJean didn't get drafted till pick number 40 in the second round. So to be quite honest with you, 36 teams passed on him. Brent, what up though? Says just got here. If Brad Holmes falls in love with the edge in the draft, I can see him giving up a couple of big picks to get his guy in the draft. What do you all think? I don't think that he won't give up picks. He does it all the time. But there's this narrative out there that Brad Holmes is married to his picks, and he's really not. Really not. Nate Wiggins. I'm not gonna lie, I did want what Nate Wiggins. And then after we drafted Terry on, I just convinced myself that Nate Wiggins was too skinny. uh Yeah, Wiggins they had drafted like 32 or 30. What was it? 30 by the Raiders? Think that's what it was. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm gonna turn my AC on. Um, yeah, he got grabbed by the Ravens. There is also a narrative that Brad Holmes goes best player available. I don't buy it. Uh, I mean, instead of getting someone like Crosby or Miles, BPA to him. Yes, it's the best player available on his draft board. Now, how Jared Verse wasn't the best player available over Terrion. I mean, there was reports out there. I don't know how true they were, so I'm not reporting them as fact. But there were people saying that Brad Holmes was trying to move up to around 15 to draft Terrion Arnold. If he would have moved up to 15 and drafted Terrion Arnold, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I would have done. Yeah, Wiggins went number 30 to Baltimore. Chop Robinson. I did not want Chop Robinson. I did not want him at all. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Chop Robinson. Well, he outperformed what I thought he would get. He got 6 sacks. Isn't that more he had in college? That was pretty good. Not bad. What were Darius Robinson's numbers? Yeah, I do need to go take a nap, bro. I've been up since 4 a.m. What was it? Darius Robinson? Darius Robinson stats. Let me see, what kind of stats did he have? One sack. Darius Robinson had 1 sack. Now, I think he played in 10 games. Let me see. I do have a point here. All right. Jay Cruisin says take speed. No, I'm good. I don't do drugs. All right, let me see this other person's stats. Cause I just wanna all right. So yeah, he had half a sack. In the 2 games that he played, he had half a sack. We said that yesterday, right? So Marcus Davenport had half a sack in 2 games. Darius Robinson had 1 sack in 10 games. So if Marcus Davenport had half a sack, if Marcus Davenport had half a sack, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to say. But I am about to pass out on stream. So let me check if there's any mailbag questions. Y'all gonna have to start hitting up the mailbag in the off season. Cause we got them. Let me see something here. Yeah, because I'm gonna start hitting up this Discord heavy. So for the mailbag and the show topics. So make sure you guys are sending those in because we need stuff to fill in the shows for the off seasons. And then that'll ensure that we talk about the stuff that y'all want to talk about. We are all Lions all the time, so we're not talking about the Pistons. We're not talking about the Tigers or the Red Wings. It's all Lions. We love the Pistons. We love the Red Wings. I hate baseball, but if you paint me into a corner, I love the Tigers too. Yeah, Dolo Dynamite said both bums. I'm not going to call Darius a bum because he is a rookie. So I'm going to give him some time to develop. But I don't know. I just wasn't impressed with the tape when I looked at it. And he didn't burst on the scene as a rookie either. So I don't know, man. Sometimes you're a late bloomer. Sometimes you don't have to bust on the scene. We can't talk about all sports because I don't have time to watch the other sports. I'm gonna tell you what. Every name that I know that is on the Tigers roster is from watching Woodward Sports. I can tell you names like Riley Green, Tarek Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Kenta Maeda, Javi Baez. Couldn't pick them out in a lineup. If Javi Baez was standing right next to me, I wouldn't know who he was. If Riley Green was in front of me in line at the grocery store, it would not register on my radar at all. I can't tell you who these people are. I don't watch baseball. I never have, never will. Sometimes it's coaching. We had the best D-line coach in the NFL, and we couldn't really generate sacks outside of Hutch or sending pressure. So sometimes guys are just what they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can get by, you can get in there on your talent and skill and all these things, but can you stick in the league? Can you make an impact? Can you do what's necessary? I don't know. That's why I said sometimes it's the player, not the coach. Because it's up to the player to take the coaching and get out there and dominate somebody. Playing on the defensive line, playing on the offensive line, playing in the trenches is about dominating another man pause and imposing your will upon him. That's, obviously there's technique and there's skill to it, but you got to be the biggest. You have to have the biggest dog in the fight, not you have to be the biggest dog. A lot of times, when you are the biggest dog, you get turned into one, and it doesn't work out the way that you want it to. Surprised the defense held up as long as they did. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was surprised as well. I thought that they would probably collapse. All right, in the first quarter, the Pistons are tied with the Chicago Bulls, 14-14, which is a stark difference from yesterday, last night when they got the doors blown off of themselves. Woodward's is okay. They need a whole day show to talk about every update. Very impressive. Because they know that people are fanatics. And people will be in every one of their shows watching all day. TaylorMade Media says, wait a minute. Most folks had never even heard of Terrell Williams until Coach Campbell called him the best D-line coach in the NFL. Now, that's facts. Well, I mean, within the coaching circles, you know who he was. You know, and this is why Mike Vrabel, poached him and offered him the DC job, because he knew who he was. A lot of these coaches came up in the era where coaches didn't get a whole lot of shine, like the assistant coaches and everything. You didn't really know their backstory. And I think it's similar anyway today. You don't really know the person's backstory until they make it big, they become a head coach or they become a defensive or an offensive coordinator. Then they have airtime. So then people start doing digging, and Chris Collinsworth and Troy Aikman and this person and that person start talking about you, because now they've done the homework. The fact that the Lions had no defense and still 15 wins has convinced it's kind of fake WWE type. Tyrell, Turrell, Tayrell, the whole nine. You hope someone out there tells you you're wrong. I mean, maybe you're wrong. There you go. I said it. I told you were wrong. All right. So my plan was to make it to 12:30 my time, so 8:30 your time, and I've just made it. Y'all know I gotta go take a nap. I gotta go pass out for at least a good hour or so. But appreciate y'all once again. I'm not here tomorrow, but I will start diving into. I already did Princely pause, so I'm gonna start diving into some more prospects pause, and just giving you my thoughts on some of them on Friday. Easy may be here on Friday. I don't know. But I'm gonna proceed with the plan to talk about prospects, and if he comes in, we'll do the season in review part 2 with Easy. He was supposed to. He did confirm yesterday that he wouldn't be able to make the show yesterday. So no issues. Everybody stay safe. I know the weather is crazy. I know there's supposed to be a huge thunderstorm coming your way. This way, hold on. So anyway, as I said, I will be trying to get some prospects down. I have a whole list of prospects that Precision Staining sent me. So shout out to Precision Staining, and I gotta go through his whole list, and we'll see who I like for the Lions. And there's gonna be a lot of people that I don't like because they're either not gonna be available, or I just am not gonna like their tape. So it is what it is. So once again, guys, make sure y'all stay safe. The roads are slippery out there because y'all are having a polar blast. So once again, Motor City Cats back at it. Came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out of here. Peace.